Okay, I'm going to try to go through a quick explanation of how to do your data analysis and how to get it on the appropriate spreadsheet. So we are all ready to go for Friday during our link advisory time. So I just did kind of a quick and messy analysis by printing out my attendance roster and just made 7 columns, question 1 through question 7. And then for each class, I have went in and recorded their response, my scores for the constructed responses, and then here in this column, sorry, it's a little blurry. This is reading literature standard number 4, reading literature standard number 1, and her score was 2 and 2 on each of those. Blake's score was a 1.0 and a 2.0 in those respective standards, so that you can see that for each student I've got an item breakdown, and then I've gone in and taken these and put them into a standard score. Honestly, most of the time, that standard score matches what they got in that question number 3 and that question number 7, because it's great if they can get it at an identification or even an application level, but if they can't analyze it, they're not reaching proficiency on that Common Core standard. So it's really this one that feeds into that score more than your multiple choice questions. So I recorded that for all of my students. And then I just made a quick chart. Reading literature standard number 4, the word choice standard, and number 1, citing evidence and details. And I just broke it down into who scored a 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and so on. So I listed out the numbers that I had and then converted those into percentages as well, so that you can see I had on the word choice standard 18% of my students were at a proficient level. 11% of them were proficient on the citing evidence and details. So I've got that broken down. I also did it at an item analysis level, just went through and counted up which student or how many students got each question right. So 19 out of 28 got question 1 right. That's 68%, 89%, and so on. This data will give us the ability to really look at what's good about our pre-assessment and what needs to be changed and what our student needs are. So that's our next step in that data process. For example, Lisa was saying, oh, a lot of kids are marking B. We probably need to go through connotation versus denotation because the words mean the same thing, but in the context of this, the connotation really matters. So that's an excellent point that we need to consider when we're looking at our instructional strategies. And we'll do that with each one of the questions. Also, a question like this where 90% of them are getting it right might be too easy, and we might want to think of a way to step that up so we're being more discriminate in getting data on our kids. So that's my quick and easy data analysis chart. And I'm going to show you how to import it into Rosemary's spreadsheet just for this one class. You'll do it for all of your classes combined, so I won't have just 28 students. When all is said and done, I'll have like 90 students or so represented. But for the purposes of this, I only have a couple of classes graded. Just for reference, it took me about an hour to do this particular class with 28 students, but I'm pretty quick at my constructive response, so I would budget about an hour and a half to 2 hours for each class. So once you've gotten your data all broken down by student, I also went through, by the way, and averaged my constructed responses, and my students are at a 2, an average of a 2 per this class, which pretty much corresponds with their results. Lots of 1s, bringing that score down. Once I have that, I am going to go into my Google Drive. And I am going to find that folder that was shared with you on that data teaming day where Rosemary gave us the presentation. And you go ahead and click into it. And when you click into it, you'll see that we have a folder for our autobiography pre-assessment data. When you open that up, you are going to see the template that we set up and that was shared with you. We are not ready to make SMART goals yet, because first we need to analyze our data, and I broke it down by standard for us. So I'm going to do my RL4 data first, since those questions come first. All I did was I took my number of students who took the assessment, so you're going to combine all of your classes together. The number of students total who scored proficient or higher, if you go back to my spreadsheet, I had 5 kids who were proficient or higher on this standard. That's 18%. 23 kids did not. Then I went through and did what Rosemary told us. I need to identify the kids who are not proficient quite yet, but likely to be proficient. So those are probably my 2.5s, or I have some kids that I know are pretty bright and just didn't give it their best or didn't provide the right kind of evidence, they might be close. My kids who could be proficient but have farther to go, and my kids who are probably going to need an intervention. So I've labeled all those out for both of those different standards. It looks different for each one of them. My kids were pretty much the same, but you can see on the citing evidence and details, I have a lot more kids who are going to need extra help. Once you have that done, we will come back together as a team, look at that as a whole group, and talk about the strengths of those scores who, or those students who were proficient as a whole group, the errors that they were making, the consistent errors, and what we can gather from that to help us out. Students who are close, students who are not there, and students who are not likely. What are they doing that these kids aren't? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And then that will help us drive instruction. If you have any questions, please ask me. Or if you have a better way that you think that we can organize that data collection, let's bring it to the table on Friday so that we make sure that we do this process even more efficiently next time.